Good afternoon, guys. Thank you for tuning in back to this channel. My name is Angela, for those who are new here, and you are most welcome. Please don't forget to leave a like, a comment, share, and subscribe. So on today's video, I'm gonna be painting for you a picture of how life was for me at the asylum camp in Germany for the first month. And indeed, I must say that there is a lot that happened during this first month. Both good and bad, but all in all, I must say that God continued to show himself strong in my situation. So I'm gonna start by saying that life at the camp was not as bad as I had imagined. When you hear of an asylum camp, especially when you come from Kenya, you have the image of Dadaab or Kakuma camp, where people are living like in tents and all that. No, actually it was the exact opposite. It was like a gated community, and yeah, there were storied buildings, and of course there were some containers also, containers large enough to have like several rooms in a row, and then there was a hallway in the middle, and like a bathroom at the end of the hallway. But these containers were actually temporary shelters, like people who were being allocated to these containers. When they arrived, they have to move after a couple of days. It was just temporarily for them to look for like a more long-term solution as housing. And also, of course, they used to provide meals 3 times a day: breakfast, lunch, and dinner. There were specific meal times that if you missed, then you have to just wait for the next one. There was a canteen, of course. There was a clinic in the compound. It was a huge compound, of course, fenced, and movement in and out was restricted. Like, you had to identify yourself. Like, once you're registered as a camp resident, you had to have like an electronic ID that would identify you in whichever office you had to visit, or as you moved in and out of the camp. But as I mentioned in my previous video, I had left my suitcase in Austria. It had been offloaded, but I had not recovered it. So I did not know how to go about it. But luckily, before I went to the camp for registration, I got an email from Qatar Airways in Austria telling me that, hey, Miss So-and-so, you were offloaded from our flight, this and this number, due to medical reasons, and we have your luggage in our possession. Please let us know if you would be able to come for it within the next 7 days. And of course, as you know, going back to Austria was just, there was no option, and that was the last place I wanted to find myself at. So I was starting to calculate, like, who do I send to go and collect my suitcase? Do I know anyone in Austria? Do I send somebody to drive all the way from Germany to Austria? How do I go about it? And I did not want to respond to this email immediately, because I did not know if it was a trap. Were they trying to smoke me out to know my whereabouts? So I ignored it. And then after a couple of days talking to Mark, he told me just tell them, or rather ask them, if they can send the luggage to you to Germany. After a couple of days, I told them that yes, I'm not a well woman, so please just continue to keep it in your possession, and I will advise you when I can come for it. And then, of course, later on, after talking to Mark, then again I wrote them an email, and I asked them if they would be kind enough to send the suitcase to the airport in Berlin. And they responded by saying that as a courtesy, they will send the suitcase to Qatar, and then the suitcase will be sent from Qatar to Germany. Lo and behold, they did. After a couple of days, I got another email from the airport in Berlin-Brandenburg saying that, hey, we have your lost luggage, and this is the baggage claim number. You can either send somebody to come and collect it from us on your behalf, or you can come on by yourself. Just make sure you have some form of identification. So I was so relieved that finally my suitcase was in Germany. But as I mentioned, I was in a camp that had restricted movement, so I did not know how to travel to Berlin. The camp was not close to Berlin. It was 2 hours away, so that is quite far. But the closest big city was Berlin. So I had to figure out how to go there. And the train ticket to go to Brandenburg, as I checked on my Deutsche Bahn app, was 14 euros 10. And at that point, I really did not have that kind of money. Going back 14 and coming back, but thanks to Mark, he sent me some money that I would be able to use here and about for such situations. So yes, once I had the money, I bought a ticket via PayPal, traveled, maneuvered my way, changing trains, got to Berlin Brandenburg. And remember, at that time, the only mode of identification I have is this A4 paper. By then, I had not even gotten the electronic card at the camp, because I think maybe it was day 2 or day 3 at the camp. So the only thing I have is a paper that I was given to use for meals, and that indicated where my room was and all that. And that is what I used to leave the compound at the gate. And as I was leaving the compound, they told me, hey, make sure you get an electronic card from the reception. So I went with this paper ID that I'd gotten from Hamburg when I got registered, that had my picture and saying that that is my form of identification. And of course, there was traffic control in the train. But usually in Germany, in most cases, they don't ask for your ID as long as you have a valid ticket. The only problem comes in when you don't have a valid ticket, or when you don't have a ticket at all, or when they suspect you for anything. Then they start asking you to identify yourself. In this case, I was not asked for my ID, just showed my ticket on my app on the phone, and I was good to go. So now the challenge is getting to Berlin Brandenburg, and I'm still scared. I just don't know what to expect. Like, if I'm stopped by the police, then what do I have to say? So I got to the airport, and of course I ask where the baggage claim is. I'm shown where it is. I go there, and I present myself that I'm coming to collect this and this bag, and I'm shown where to go, and I'm asked to wait. And then they check in their records, and yes, they see that they have the bag. Somebody is sent, and they go and bring the bag, which is in good condition, intact, with all the tags. And then they call me and ask me, okay, so there's one thing we don't understand. This bag seems to have gone to Nairobi. So how did this bag come back to the country and you are here? And then I'm like, okay. In my heart, I'm scared, okay. And I just told them, no. The thing is, yes, I was going to Nairobi, but I never made it through. My journey was interrupted halfway through in Austria, and I was offloaded, so I had to come back to Germany. And they say, oh, okay, so that is the case. And then they process. They ask me for my ID. And I give them this A4 paper that has a picture of me in the center and some writings in German that I don't remember anymore what it was saying. And they don't ask me any other questions. And then they say, okay, since you're not arriving, you're coming to pick a baggage, you have to go through customs. We have to escort you to go through customs. And thinking of going through customs and then starting to explain what and where and why, again, my heart skips a bit, and I'm a little bit scared. But then in my heart, I'm just praying. And all the while, as I was praying to recover my bag, I was just praying that everything goes well. Even on my way to go to the airport, I was praying that everything goes well. And this lady suddenly says, oh, but anyway, since the bag did not leave the EU, then there is no need for it to go through the customs. And my heart comes back to itself. But in my mind, I'm asking myself, did this bag not just go to Qatar and then come back to Germany? And I hold my peace. And they say, okay, take your bag, you can go. So I walk out of that place with my bag, and as quickly as possible, take the train again, go back to the camp. Getting to the bus station, again, the last bus is already gone. I have to drag this bag again. It was so heavy, more than 25 kgs. Drag the suitcase all the way back to the camp. At some point, I even felt like just leaving it along the road. But I was telling myself, I've already eaten the whole cow. All that is left is a tail. I can make it. I can drag the bag. I made it to the camp. So, of course, the following day or a few days later, I go to the reception as I was instructed by the security to go and collect an electronic card as a camp ID. Then as I go there, I'm given the card, yes, and I'm told you have a transfer. That was something very common in the camp life. Like when you're living at the camp, you always anticipate getting transferred somewhere else. Like you finish one step, then they transfer you to another camp. So this was my first, or rather the second transfer after the transfer from Hamburg. So this was yet another transfer. And then I was told, go back to your room, pack your bags, you have a transfer. And that was now 20 minutes. The other camp was now 20 minutes away. As I mentioned, I was in a container, and in the container it was just like temporary for reception, and then you have to be sent somewhere else. So I go, I pack my bags, they give me a map, and they told me, okay, go present your card and they will help you further. So I drag, now at this point now I not only have one, but I have that big suitcase, another bag, like a rucksack, and my small hand luggage. Anyway, they told me to put my beddings together, drop them at the laundry, and go. I did that. And then that was the part of the suitcase. The other thing was my roommate. As I was allocated to that room, I got one lady from Ukraine. She was a really nice young lady, 25, beautiful girl. And I'm saying beautiful because at the end of the day, like the men at the camp like took advantage of her innocence and broke her heart into pieces. But anyway, that is not the point that I'm trying to bring across. The challenge was that since so many men were pursuing her, or at least there is this one guy, really playboy from Georgia, that actually did not have the shame of coming to sleep in our room. Actually, this is a shared room, and he's sleeping there. Like, it was so uncomfortable because one night I woke up and I hear somebody snoring, and I'm like, when did my roommate start to snore? And it's like it's in the manner of a man snoring, and my locker was actually blocking my head, so I couldn't see who it was. Then I raised my head and I noticed, there's a man in the room. And that was really uncouth. That was like one of the really uncomfortable things about sharing like a room with people from other cultures that find that to be okay. And then after a few days before the transfer, living there, they brought yet another, because this room actually had 4 bed spaces. So they brought another lady. This one was a woman with her husband. Actually, they were not allocated to this that same room because they were not actually mixing people like that. At least families were being put together, and then single ladies or whatever were being put together. So the problem that I had with this other woman was that a few days after she came to the room, it was Easter, and they invited me and asked me if I'm a Christian, if I would like to join them for Easter. They had gotten a key for the next room, and just out of courtesy, out of politeness, I said yes. And they had some drinks there, some sodas. They had also bought some beers and whatever. And so the problem with this other woman is that the husband was showing some sort of interest, and I don't mean in the sensual way or whatever, but this woman just had an issue because the husband kept, asking, oh, you come from Kenya, how is it, blah 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 blah, Kenya must be a beautiful country. And the husband poured me a drink. The woman was wroth with me and she started cursing in Ukrainian, and I don't understand. So this other Ukrainian lady just told me, please hold your peace, don't mind her, she has issues. And when things got really tough, she told me, this other lady just told me, please just go to sleep, so sorry that things have to turn like this, we'll talk in the morning. And then I go to sleep, and then this woman wakes up in the morning, and she's still cursing in Ukrainian and pointing at me. And I got really angry, and I will ask this lady, is she still talking about me? And this lady just told me, please calm down, just ignore her, don't get yourself into any kind of confrontation because of her, it's not worth it. And lo and behold, maybe one day later, then I got my transfer. And in this camp, I only lived for like 5 days. Then I got my transfer, and I was like, phew, I don't have to deal with her again. And then, so I go to the other camp. And then as I'm waiting at the reception, guess who? So apparently we had all been transferred again to this other camp, but in the same room. So I still had to deal with this crazy lady who had issues with me for whatever reason, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that was the life. And then so in this other camp, I go with, in that room there are already 2 other Ukrainians, so plus 2 other Ukrainians that I had come with. Now I'm the only Kenyan among 5 of these people speaking this language, and also speaking the language to me, expecting me to understand. But after a few days, maybe 2 days later, these 2 ladies that we found in that room, it was a mother and a daughter, got their transfer. I'm telling you, a transfer was a common thing. So they got their transfer, those bed spaces were empty, and then later on, this other crazy also was transferred to another room, like a family room, so that she can stay with her husband, which was really nice, because now I did not have to put up with her issues of whenever she would look at me or she would see me, she would start pointing fingers and cursing. Anyway, so yeah, that was it. That was like that. So in this other camp, of course, we had like we had the instructions like every 2 weeks we can change beddings, and like every Monday you can go and collect like toiletries like toothpaste, toothbrush, shower gel, shampoo, maybe sanitary towels, and all those things that you just need for your personal effect. So one of these days, or when I went, or the first time when I went to collect some toilet rolls, then I saw on the door that it was written they are looking for people, or like 2 people who can help them with some work here and there. And at that point I was really broke, and I had a child at home to support, and I thought any penny can really be helpful. So I went to the office and I told them that I want to work, and they were like, yeah, it's very nice, we already found one lady and now you'll be the second one, you'll be working with this and this lady. So I got a job at the camp, and I was so really so grateful to God for this opportunity, because it was really, staying at the camp was so boring, because there is nothing else that you can do other than like maybe sleep on your bed or be on your phone just doing this and that, and really a lot is going on in your mind. So I got this job, and I got to work with this really nice lady from Nigeria, and she was like, wow, you're so lucky, you just went this day and you asked for the job and you got it, and yet I've been here for 5 weeks. Every single day I've been asking for work, and they're telling me that there is nothing, there is no opportunity. So I felt really lucky. And then the other thing that happened, so the kind of work that we were doing was actually working in the laundry area, where we receive new linen, and we would package the duvets and the duvet cover, the bed sheets, the pillowcase covers, towels, all of those things. We would package them into one garbage bag, would package them together, tie them together, so that as new people are coming in, then it's easier to distribute to them, because these things have already been put together. So that is what we used to do at the rate of €1 per hour. And I know that it seems really little, because even the minimum wage for somebody working in Germany at the moment is like 13 point something euro. So this one was €1 per hour, because actually we were not entitled to work. It was just like some form of pocket money. So €1 per hour, working like, let's say 8 hours a day. So at the end of the week we would have something like an extra €30 in the pocket. To be honest, was not so bad, given that we are given every other thing: soap, shampoo, shower gel. We were being given food, 3 square meals a day. We were being given like everything that was needed. So it was not that bad. I was grateful for this opportunity. The lady that I was working with was really nice, and also these German ladies, the social workers, were very helpful. So that was that. And then the other thing that happened to me that I must mention during this first month. You remember, so before you actually officially register your intention to seek for asylum, you are not even officially registered, so you do not have like this temporary ID that you can use like an identification, because eventually you are given like this green ID that's like a temporary ID. Until you're registered, you do not have that. And that point, because so many Ukrainians were coming into the camp, it was really taking a long time for you to get the chance to be registered. Like they were going by first come first served, so it was taking a long time. And so I was working at the camp. Right opposite us was the social office, and in Austria I had been given this letter that I need to go to the hospital to see a heart specialist within 7 days of coming back to Germany, which I had not done because of all this helter-skelter. And then it so happened also that the hospital in Austria sent a bill to the address that I gave them in Germany for my boyfriend. They sent a bill for these 3 hours that I spent in that hospital. They sent a bill of 318, and me here busy like I was thinking that the treatment was for free. Actually, there is nothing that is free in Germany. So they sent this bill to my address and they asked me to pay the 318. So of course they sent it to my boyfriend, and he told me, hey, you have mail. I told him just open it, see what it is. He opened, and I told him just take photos of it and send it to me. I see if I can go and speak to the social workers, and they would advise how I am supposed to pay, because there was no way I was going to leave that burden to my boyfriend. No, I was going to take care of it myself. So I went to the social worker. I got one nice Nigerian guy, and I asked him, I explained to him the situation that happened in Austria, and I showed him this letter, and I asked him, like, is there any possibility that I can get help from the social office? And he said that it would be really difficult, but once I go to the Heim, then maybe I can say. But he said it's really difficult. Why? Because it happened before I had gotten health insurance. If I'd already been registered at the camp and I had already had like hospital insurance, then the social services would take care of it. So, but anyway, he said with regards to your case of going to visit a doctor, at this point it's impossible for us to send you to see a specialist until you are registered. Are you already registered? And I told him, no, I'm not registered. You already have the green ID, temporary ID. I told him I do not have it. So I said, this is how I'm going to help you. I'm going to write you this note. Take to the registration office and tell them you need to be registered urgently because you urgently need to see a heart specialist. And he told me that if they ask you, like, what is the pain that you're experiencing on a scale of 1 to 10, tell them 10. So, and remember, like now, between the two camps, like I told you that I was moved to a camp that was 20 minutes away. So every other like formalities, all the formalities, you had to do it from this main camp. So we always had to walk like back and forth from this other camp to the other one in case we needed like to go to anything, for anything official like office. Also, they were doing laundry for us. Like we didn't need to do our laundry for ourselves. We would just take them to the laundry room, and then they do the laundry, and then they give you a date to come and collect, maybe the following day or the day after, depending on how the time of day that you give the laundry. So that was also one service that we were getting from them. So I got to the registration office, and this woman looks at this note, and she's like, you know, sarcastically, like, you think we don't know that everyone is trying to get registered as quickly as possible? And like, she gave me the vibe like, don't think that we are going to take this trick. So she felt like I was faking it. And then looking at this report from Austria, she went with it inside, and then she came back with a note and said, and this was on the 25th. Now this was on the 25th of April, and she said you can come for your registration on the 2nd of May. So the good thing is that actually once you start the registration, then things start to move, because once you do the registration, that is now when you can go and attend your asylum interview, because that is something that is a must. If you seek for asylum, you have to go through an asylum interview. That is such a gruesome interview that takes hours. And then after that, that is when the decision would be made whether you'll be granted an asylum status or not. And so in the next video, of course, I'm going to be telling you how things went with my asylum interview. But up to here now, I got the chance to be registered within 2 weeks of getting into the camp, and I was even ahead of the people that had come a month before, and that. So at the end of the day, even this hospital situation worked in my favor, even though now I had a bill that was looking at me for 318, that, by the way, I had to pay, and I had to request them to allow me to pay in bits, like 40 euros per month. I just finished paying it last month, so I had to pay the bill myself. I had to take the responsibility. Okay, I did not want to mess with that, so yes, I paid. I ended up paying the bill. I finished paying last month. So yeah, this video again is already very long, but that was how my first month looked like. And let me not forget to mention that after this Ukrainian lady, the crazy one, moved out, I remained with this other nice one. Then again, I got 2 Kenyan roommates. I was so happy that finally Kiswahili could be spoken in that room. I got 2 Kenyan roommates who were also like coming to seek asylum, and it was so nice to just have them there. We could go outside the camp and just walk around, go to the shopping center, and just bond and talk and pray together and watch movies together and give our, just be a support system for each other. So yes, this video is already 27 minutes, but yeah, that is just how my first month looked like. Other than that, there was nobody that was harassing me or whatever. And also within that period, I got my tax ID for Germany. Because now I was officially registered. That was the first time that I was registered in Germany. I got my tax ID, that now everything that I do, I can use it as a reference, and it was written that you can use it as a reference for employment, and using it as a reference whenever it is requested for. So yes, that is how everything turned out. I got my suitcase, and I got to be registered, and now I was ready to now officially start the asylum process. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to leave your comments below, like, shares, and subscribe, and I will see you on another video when I'm now giving you the gist of how it went with my asylum interview. See you then. Till then, goodbye.